morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice of radio. So today, we're looking at a new Tauros card. And ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the most interesting and fun-looking cards I've seen in ages. It's also an extremely unique card. It is the kind of card that makes me want to run and start building decks. Now, it was revealed on the official Japanese YouTube channel, translated by the lovely David Hochmann. Who else at this point? A few people, to be fair, but this time it's David. And initially speaking, it's got a few things going for it. So it's got 130 HP, and as we're going to see in a minute, the more HP here, the absolute better. But 130 HP does mean you're out of range of something like Zoroark, etc., which is quite nice. But then again, you've got that bad weakness to Buzzwole, which is not ideal. To be honest, against Buzzwole GX, they're probably not one-hit KOing you. They're doing 100 with Diancie Prism Star, as is regular Buzzwole initially, but when you got 4 prizes remaining, Sledgehammer will sledgehammer you off the board. Retreat cost of 2 is kind of awkward, but then again, the attack cost is 2, so we can live with that. And we know that being a colorless Pokemon really doesn't give you any tricks, other than double colorless energy, which is enjoyed by a whole bunch of Pokemon. But what's really exciting here is the attack. And according to David, it does 10 damage, plus 10 damage for each damage counter on all of your Tauros. Yes, that does include Tauros GX. Because obviously Tauros and Tauros GX have different names. How much fun does that sound? Now, we've seen Outrages plenty of times. I mean, really the big Outrages, and I know they're not the only ones, but the big ones were the Reshiram and Zekrom from Black and White. And for a while we had this beautiful situation where they were the best decks in the format. Reshiram with Typhlosion was amazing, and then you would play Zekrom with Pachirisu and Shaymin, and they really were like the two powerhouse decks. I did really enjoy the fact that they were the two legendaries, the box art legendaries of the Pokemon games at the moment, Black and White, and they were the two best decks. I thought that was amazing. But they were like the original Outrages. And look, I know they weren't actually the original Outrages, alright? I do understand that entirely. I mean, look, one of the original Outrages was the Tauros from Jungle, the second set we ever had, that had Rampage, 20 damage plus 10 more for each damage counter on Tauros. Flip a coin if Tails Tauros is now confused. Yes, Tauros did it first. And look, we all got excited when Tauros GX was revealed. Tauros GX is an outraging Pokemon. Yes, you can Horn Attack, 60 damage for a double colorless, but it's got Rage, 20 damage plus 10 for each damage counter on it, and then Mad Bull GX, 3 times the amount of damage as is on it to your opponent. This was cool, ladies and gentlemen. But after a while, people found it a bit easy to play around. People one-hit KO it. The weakness wasn't great. It really fell out of favour because people were playing stuff like Drampa instead. And although it's been teched into a bunch of decks here and there, it's never set the format on fire. Well, maybe this Tauros can. And this is where we go back to the 130 HP. It's a good number. I mean, look, on a Pokemon like this, obviously we'd like it to be more, but it is what it is. It's a decent number. It can help. The thing is, there's a lot of Pokemon around at the moment that are going to one-hit KO this. I mean, I gave the example earlier of Zoroark, and in truth, Zoroark will initially fail to get the one-hit KO here, but then again, most of these decks play Devoured Field. That does an extra 10 damage. They'll get the KO. Or they play Professor Kukui. Some play both. Professor Kukui does an extra 20, so they get the KO here. That's annoying. And look, you can do 130 by yourself if you've got 12 damage counters on you. But here's the thing. It's not just the damage on Tauros. It's the damage on all of your Tauros. And this is where we can really start to make hay. Now, as with so many of these cards, we need to go to the expanded format to really make the most of it. There are a couple cards that just stand out beautifully here. Team Magma's secret base. When you pop a basic Pokemon on the field that isn't a Team Magma Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on it. Now, what would be awesome is if you could combine this with Skyfield, but you can't. But then again, you put 5 Tauros down, you're going to have to start with 1. So you put 5 Tauros down, mixture of the GX and the non-GX. That's 100 extra damage right off the bat before you've even really begun. That's kind of cool. What you can do here is then essentially tag in Shrine of Punishment. So you have Team Magma's secret base down while you bench, and then you tag in Shrine of Punishment just to get extra damage on there. Now, generally speaking, you do not want Shrine of Punishment if you're playing GXs in your deck. The thing is, you're playing a GX here that wants damage on. Now, you have to be careful about how much damage goes on, obviously, but you want damage on here. Essentially, if you've got 4 Tauros down, that means that Shrine of Punishment is like... well, it's like a choice band, but against anything, and with an extra damage counter between turns. That's a plus power, 4 plus power essentially between turns. If you put Shrine of Punishment down, take 4 damage on your Tauros, switch to your opponent, and then take 4 damage after their turn, that's 8 extra damage counters, which means 80 extra damage when you next attack. Risky? Oh my goodness, yes, because your opponent can just start Guzmaring and taking these out. And I gotta mention at this stage, if you're ever against a Tapu Lele, oh lordy, Tapu Lele is going to wreck Tauros. And of course, any deck can just put a counter energy in one of these in, and it's not even funny anymore. They get to rearrange the damage on your field. So if you've got, 10 damage counters on each of your Tauros, they can basically KO all but one of your Tauros. So yes, Tapu Lele is a huge, huge counter to this. But what we can do is try and get damage on. Now, I've already mentioned Shrine of Punishment, and other than that, we don't have a huge amount of options in the standard format at the moment. We don't have a huge amount of self-damaging Pokemon. Even something like Weavile just isn't ideal because you don't actually have an ability on any of your Tauros, so that's not going to work. We do have Gastrodon from Burning Shadows, which for 2 fighting and a colourless on a stage 1 will do 10 damage to each of your bench Pokemon. That will self-damage. I mean, look, Dugtrio from X and Y was a good option. That could actually work. Yeah, it's a stage 1, but it damages your bench for 1 energy. I could get on board with Dugtrio from X and Y. This is no Dugtrio from X and Y, ladies and gentlemen. Similarly, there's the Torterra from Ultra Prism. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this, ladies and gentlemen? We don't have good bench damage. So essentially, where we are at the moment is we are crossing our fingers. We are hoping that our opponent damages but doesn't KO our Pokemon. Really, the best option we've got is Shrine of Punishment with Tauros, and then we're just crossing our fingers that our opponent doesn't KO. That's not good. We don't have great options. Now look, it is just for a double colourless energy. That's great. And I do like this a lot. And I think there's a lot of potential. But I'm struggling to see the combo in Standard. One combo I love in Expanded is actually using it with the combination of Blastoise, which can be gotten out with Archie's Hidden Ball Trick. And then using Frozen City, so that every energy you attach puts 10 damage on. And then, of course, you've got Energy Returner here, so that you can... Energy Reset, sorry, so that you can just pile damage on. And if this sounds familiar, I did talk about this with Unknown Damage a little while ago. This gives you some nice attacking options. This seems like the kind of Pokemon with so much potential. But I don't think we've got great ways of self-damaging in Standard at the moment. In Expanded, I've laid out some options there pretty good. As it stands, let's give this free Wassies. There is a lot of potential. You want to keep a couple copies in your binder. It's got to be a playset. This could be fun. Relying on Tauros and Shrine of Punishment, I don't think is the best idea. But all it takes is one decent damaging card. I mean, look, Potown doesn't work because unfortunately, well, it's Potown, it's only for evolutions. But something like Potown and Devolution Spray could go together nicely to damage stage 1s. If we get a similar kind of thing for basics, this could really take off in a hurry. So keep it close. But ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for you to tell me what you think about Tauros. I am so excited about it. I just don't think we got the combo in standard as it stands. Go nuts, ladies and gentlemen, but please do remember the rule. Be nice, would you? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, because I talk about other games and it's fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.